You're listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast, a podcast for women navigating divorce who want more. More clarity, more money, more peace, more power. I'm Megan Norris, divorce expert, coach, and the friend who's going to tell you the truth. Not just about what's happening right now, but about what's possible for you next. This podcast is about making decisions you trust, building a life you actually want, and becoming the version of you that no one saw coming. Whether you're in it, ending it, or already out, you're in the right place. You're about to become the CEO of your life and create one so good it doesn't make sense. Let's get started. Oh, hi, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad that you're here this week. I am in the second full week of summer as I'm recording this, and the change of pace for me has inspired this podcast, along with something somebody in my membership asked me to talk more about. And that is, how do we find the agency and the feeling of freedom when our circumstances are limiting? When we feel like all we see is limitations and constraint, how do we feel free? How do we find our agency in those seasons? And this is a really important question because we can't control so many things outside of us during divorce, but also afterwards. So whether you're still getting divorced, and this is going to be relevant for you as you wait on the timing of that to play out, or you're already divorced and you're co-parenting and you have a custody schedule, or maybe this is going to help you relate to something with your career and your work life, but I think it's going to be helpful either way. So listen up. Let's go. All right, let me tell you a little bit about what's happening in my life right now for context of how this is something I'm having to really be intentional about right now, finding agency and freedom. So I'm in the second full week of summer, and all my kids went to their grandparents' house they left on Thursday. So it's been Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today's Monday. They'll probably come back on Wednesday. So they'll have been gone for 6 days. And then we'll go to their dad's on Friday for the weekend. Okay. Normally, so since last summer, essentially, the kids are with me almost all of the time. They go with their dad supposedly every other weekend, but what's happening is because he lives so far away, at least one kid always has something happening. So it's not uncommon for me to just always have at least one child with me. And even if they all go, I basically have Saturday, 3/4 of the day on Saturday before I'm already gearing back up to order the groceries to pick up Sunday, make sure the beds are made, and just gearing back up to be in my mom brain. And I remember this happening last summer when they go to my parents for this extended period of time during the summer. My parents lived like 2.5 hours away. I have this really strange experience of these different phases of relaxation because I'm just so accustomed to go, 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 go all of the time. And it feels like there are gears. So for the first 24 hours they were gone, it was familiar. And then into hour 48, I was starting to feel a little unsettled. And then, past the second day into the third day, it really starts to feel weird. Okay. And I'm just not used to only having me in the house, only worrying about me, not having to anticipate their arrival back for so many days. Okay. What happens for me when I experience this is it's almost like I have to process some depression. Like I'll get really sad. I'll be good. I have so many things to do. I'm excited to do all of them. I really love my own company. And then I'll have a couple of days where I just feel really low. And my theory on this is, and I'm not a therapist. This is just knowing myself and kind of having done this now a few times, is that when this sudden change of pace happens, that depressed sensation in my body and in my nervous system is a recalibration. It's saying, "Oh, you have been running in high gear for a very long time and I'm going to bring you down. You think you're going to gear back up here because you can and you're going to get all this work done by yourself and you're going to be super productive, but I'm going to need you to come back down here. I'm going to need you to really rest and be with yourself and process this and give yourself lots of space before you just go back into massive doing, mad doing." And as I was allowing that to happen and still enjoying my time, what came up for me was this feeling of being kind of trapped by my circumstances, in the sense that there's just not a lot of extra time, energy, money, resources. I don't have a lot of extra resources to spend right now in other areas of my life, whether it's just being alone and taking a bath and recharging my own batteries, or whether it's, focusing on building friendships in real life or dating. I just don't have the energy or the I don't have the energy, and I also don't have the desire to rearrange my priorities right now. I really love my work. I love my clients. I love you all. I love my audience. I love creating money and helping you create results. I love being a mom. And with everything else that entails, the house and the dog and my health, there's just not a lot of extra time for other things. But when I have these extended periods of time where it's just me, I get a taste of what it would be like if my circumstances were different. And that brings up some grief and makes me feel a little powerless in that moment. And if you are familiar with my work at all, you'll know that I encourage you to allow the feeling of powerlessness and the feeling of the sensation of being trapped without making it a problem you need to solve or a sign that something has gone wrong. And this is true if you're feeling trapped in the legal process, or if you're feeling trapped with your circumstances afterwards, or maybe at a job you don't love, or maybe you have a business and you feel trapped because the timing of your results just isn't where you want it to be yet. But here's what I want you to know. On the other side of allowing all those emotions, the opposite of agency and freedom, is all your power. Because one of the main reasons that divorce is such an incredible experience to use to transform your life. I didn't say that very eloquently, but one of the reasons divorce can create such massive change so fast, whether it be for the better or for the worse, is because it forces you to come to terms with how much you have been and are still relying on things outside of you to feel like you have agency in your life and freedom. Those two things, all your personal power, your courage, your self-leadership, is not dependent on your external circumstances. And I know that this goes against everything we're taught growing up. And it even goes against the way that a lot of people talk about divorce. And it's so miserable to live in a world, to live in a reality where you are dependent on a court system, someone you're divorcing, a boss or a corporation, to show up a certain way before you have permission to feel like you have agency and freedom in your own life. That sucks. And I'm not here for that. I don't believe that, and I don't operate in my life around the constraints that I currently have as if they are limiting me. So here's what's going to change everything for you. Every limitation that you currently see in your life is actually an expander. It is not a limitation. I'm going to say that again. Every constraint that you feel like currently exists in your life is actually trying to expand you. It is trying to get your attention, to invite you into a more expansive self-concept, into more abundance, into more creative solutions, and into your personal power. And how you choose to believe that, like the meaning you give the constraints you have in your life right now, really changes everything. So I'm going to give you some examples. For me, I'm a single mom to 3 kids. Okay. Most people, and I would, in fact, now having lived it for 3 years and feeling like some of the days I'm a chicken without a head running around. I mean, at the beginning of the school year in 2024, so about 9 months ago, I was so confused about where I was going when, having 3 kids in 3 different schools all of a sudden, and one would get dropped off at a different location and picked up at a separate location, neither of which were the new school he was at. And I would get lost. I was so tired and I was so it was such a new routine that I would get turned around and forget where I was going and miss the turn for months. Okay. This experience for me, if I was afraid I couldn't do it alone 3 years ago, I have been shown that that is not true. The constraint of my circumstances in that respect is helping me. How? How can that be? It's not making it easier, that's for sure. Okay, this is how. This is all just made up, by the way. But what you believe creates your reality. So make up a good story. The best storytellers are the best manifestors. Here's why I believe that's true, that this is helping me. Number one, it's forcing me to focus on what matters most to me right now. And there is no room for anything else. Would I love there to be room for extra things? Yes, I would. I don't know why there's not right now. That's not any of my business. I'm in a co-creation with the universe here. It's none of my business why I don't have a spare second. And my 2 priorities right now are my business and my children after my own self-care. That's it. That's all I have space and time for. Okay. So it's forcing me to get really clear on what my priorities are and then honor them. And when my brain wants to go down a rabbit hole of, oh, wouldn't it be fun to do this? And wouldn't it be fun to do that? And wouldn't it be nice if I had extra time for this? But I don't. I come back to, yeah, but because you don't have it right now, you are keeping all the extra tabs closed in your brain, and the focus that I'm able to give myself, my business, and my kids is accelerating a time where I will have the freedom to do all of the other things I want to do. It's bringing it to me faster. Okay, but how? Because faster than what? My kids turn 18? No, because I am going to know who I am. I'm getting to know myself so well because it's just me. It's just me, myself, and I. And I'm really getting to know myself, which is going to help me anchor in and stay connected to my own voice in the future, whether it's with friends or dating or business opportunities or parenting. 2, it's helping me create more wealth and financial security faster. It just is, because I'm having to be so hyper focused on what I'm doing because I don't have time to waste. And all those things are bringing, are because I've had to be so clear on what I want to the exclusion of everything else. By choice, I could bring in other things that I want to work on right now. I don't want to. I don't do as well when I start trying to split my energy. It's not true for everyone, but it's true for me. It's brought peace into my life because I have surrendered to where I am. And it's a lot easier to do that when you believe that it's helping you create a future that you're going to love and helping you stay present in the current moment and enjoy the 50-50 experience of being a single mom of 3, which is so fun sometimes. And then other times I just fall into bed or cry myself to sleep. Whatever 50-50 I'm on that day, I get to be present for that and I choose it. And I don't have to worry that I'm missing out on something because of this limitation, because I believe so fully that it's actually bringing closer to me extraordinary things that are even better than what I can imagine them being. So you have to redefine, and you can see how much choice I have in that, the freedom I have to design the time I do have and my life around my priorities. So you have to redefine what freedom and agency looks like. Freedom and agency is not the ability to control all of your circumstances. It is not the ability to be able to do whatever you want whenever you want. I mean, actually, let me rephrase that. You can do whatever you want whenever you want, but you're not going to. Because what you want most, what I want most is to be a good mom. What you want most is to get through your divorce. So are you going to skip the country and not get divorced? No. Could you? Yes. So you have to redefine what your freedom and agency looks like. You're choosing to stay here in this circumstance, but nobody has chained you, handcuffed you to your house, to your divorce. You could leave. You could ask your ex if he wants to get back together. You could do that. You have to be more creative about your thoughts and beliefs when you're getting divorced because there are so many things that you can't control. And I love that for you. Lastly, you have to stop waiting for conditions to change. You don't need more help. Oh, this isn't lastly. This is second to last. You don't need more help, less time with your kids, more time with your kids, a different co-parent to feel better. Your liberation, your agency, and freedom comes when you stop outsourcing your peace to your circumstances. And if you're choosing to stay in a job for now that you don't love, amazing. Make that choice powerfully. Don't tell yourself that you're at the mercy of your own choice. That feels terrible. And then I want you to practice choosing yourself in these micro moments. The reminder, the agency, the freedom that you so desperately want to feel lives in the present moment only. As soon as you're, angry about the past or anxious about the future, you have disconnected from your agency and freedom. It lives only in the present moment. And you may only have 15 minutes a day in terms of margin right now, and that's okay. You can choose to be present in those 15 minutes with yourself instead of scrolling on Instagram, instead of, I don't know, what else do we do when we're trying to escape? Sometimes I do laundry because I just can't even sit still. You being willing to slow it down and make intentional choices about where your attention is going to go right now is where your agency and freedom lives. Unless you just want to skip the country, leave your kids, or get back to your ex, or do something drastic, which most of us don't and never will. So we're making the choice to be where we are. That's freedom and agency. Don't gatekeep the acknowledgement of that, the experience of those emotions from yourself until your circumstances change. Because if you've got kids, we're talking years. And even then, they're still going to have another parent. So I love this for all of us because we are being asked to rise above our circumstances in a way that's, I think, probably second only to a death, where, the person is gone and you cannot control it. And this is often challenging in a unique way because there's usually not a death. And so your brain thinks, I should be able to control this more. Everything is just right here. And you can't. And I love that because you're tired. You have worked your whole life trying to control everything so that you can feel safe and everyone can be happy. And the fact that you simply cannot do that anymore, including for yourself, is a good thing. Because on the other side of surrendering all of that control, which is just a survival mechanism, guess what you find? Agency and freedom. And guess what's created from agency and freedom? Success and money, love and abundance, peace when you wake up in the morning, a good night's sleep, a beautiful day with your kids, tucking your child in at night and they tell you that they love their life and wouldn't change a thing. Everything you want and better is on the other side of you surrendering control and allowing yourself to find the freedom and agency in where you are choosing to be right now. That is going to create a life so good it doesn't make sense. And there's no better or more virtuous timeline. It's not better to do it faster. It's not better. I think I've said this before. It's not better to get divorced faster. It's not better to have a 50-50 co-parenting plan. It's not better to have sole custody. It's not better to have an ex that lives down the road or 2 hours away. There is no ranking system here. You have the curriculum you're meant to have right now. I just did a reel about Hugh Jackman's divorce. Deborah Lee, Furness maybe is her last name, is his ex-wife. And she released this beautiful statement about her divorce. And you can go find the reel to watch it and see what she says. But she talks about it basically being her divine curriculum. And I, at first, was kind of stung by that, even though I teach that. So come on now, Megan's brain. This is literally what you teach, that this is your divine curriculum. But I get a little pissed when I'm like, my divine curriculum was, excuse me, was to take a little bit of money and have to start something from nothing and grow it and find my own financial independence and safety and security. Excuse me? Her divine curriculum was to get half of the Wolverine franchise? I'm pissed. Really, like the little toddler part inside of me was so mad about that for a minute. But look, that was her divine curriculum. And I don't know all the facts of her, obviously, of her life and her circumstance. And the pain is just as real, even with half or how much ever she got of Hugh Jackman's, or what they built together. It's not his, it was theirs. Listen, if part of your divine curriculum is to feel constrained by the lack of money, even if you have millions. And that is often the case. That's very common. In fact, the more money my client gets divorced with, the more scarcity there is. Isn't that ironic? But it's true. The more you think you have to lose, the scarier it is. And if part of your divine curriculum is to feel constrained by money, however that looks outside of you, then I want you to celebrate that. Excuse me. Because on the other side of that curriculum is knowing that you can make money manifest from your brain. That's where it comes from, your thoughts and beliefs. Create the energy and then drive the actions that you take, and then it creates the money. And you surrendering to your circumstances as they are today and being willing to find the agency and the freedom to rise above them and make a powerful choice, because you know that your future is so good it doesn't make sense, and that you're worthy of that, and that it belongs to you, and that it wants you back, is so satisfying and rewarding, because you'll wake up one day and you'll realize you were right. There was something bigger in you and for you. And if you weren't going through what you're currently going through, if I didn't currently have the limitations that I have in my life, then I would be missing the self-discovery part that I'm meant to go through. And I don't want to miss that. I don't know if I've said this publicly, but one of the reasons that I did not want to date, especially in the first couple of years after my divorce, and now I go back and forth on that, and that's a different podcast. But one of the reasons why initially I was like, oh, no, 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 is because I knew that the scarcity is so seductive that if somebody came along that would ease that for me with money, or even just support in terms of childcare and the logistics of my life, I didn't know if I would be able to turn it down. And it's not right or wrong to meet somebody right away and have them ease that burden. But for me, I didn't want that. If I had have wanted it, that's a different story, but I didn't want that. And I knew that my agency and my freedom and insourcing that kind of security for myself would free me up to make different decisions, or to have more agency over my decisions when eventually I did start dating. But listen, I live in Texas, and I was like, some rich oil guy, I could go meet him and it would be so easy. Like, I just can't imagine the relief I would have felt from my own internalized scarcity if I'd met him. And I just am not willing to do that again to my future self. No, I refuse. I will first be so solid in my own sufficiency and abundance, regardless of what the numbers say, that I will call in a different person from that space anyway. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but all of that to say, the constraints in your life right now are helping you. Your agency and freedom is actually found by rising above them. And without the current limitations, and I will leave you with this, without the current limitations in your life, agency and freedom wouldn't even exist. Think about that. If you didn't have any limits, guess what you would do? You would create them. Why? Because that's what humans do. You're here to create. You're here to rise above and overcome limitations. So where there are none, you would create some. And if you can't create them, my theory, you kind of lose your mind. If you think about billionaires, It's like, what? They have no obstacles in their life, seemingly, right? They're emotional, but they try to create them. And then when they run out of things to buy or challenges to overcome, what do? They usually have some sort of destruction in their personal life, and then they have to overcome that. So this idea that just being limitless in your personal life, or even just if I could have that one thing removed, that one thing, no. It would just be replaced by another one, because that's the human condition, and your agency and freedom lies in surrendering the control you thought you had, but you never did. It was just a survival mechanism, recovering from the exhaustion of living that way, and choosing strategic, creative ways to rise above. That's where your agency and freedom is. Oof, that was good. All right. The membership's open. Come inside. It's good in there, and we would love to have you. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast. If today's episode resonated, please take a minute and leave a review. It helps women find this work and change their lives and divorces too. For more support, be sure you follow me on Instagram at Megan Norris Coaching. That's where I share real-time strategy, perspective, and what it actually looks like day to day. And when you're ready to go deeper, join the Divorce Academy, my monthly membership for women navigating divorce with clarity, power, and community. I'll see you next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for legal, financial, or mental health advice. Please consult with licensed professionals as needed.